Hey, what's up everyone? How you doing? It is me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. So this is episode 6, Nostalgia Gaming, and on this episode we're going to talk about Silent Hill 2. What you're looking at here, it is me pre-recorded playing this. I played this game last night. I pre-recorded it. This way I can do this video and talk about my experience with Silent Hill 2 and how I feel about Silent Hill 2. This game was released in 2001, probably the most exciting year for PlayStation 2 system console. We had so many games in 2001, including Metal Gear Solid 2, Zone of the Enders, Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, Ace Combat, and Ace Combat 4, I believe, and Grand Theft Auto 3. So it was a pretty big deal for Sony PlayStation 2 2001. Now let's talk about Silent Hill 2. I did play Silent Hill 1 in 1999, so I was very excited, and I finished the story. I was very excited for the sequel. So when I find out that there's going to be a sequel for the new console, Sony PlayStation 2, I was super excited and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. This game was released in October, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. There's a cutscene here, so let's watch this cutscene. Let's listen to it. But by the way, this is in-game. This is in-game engine. In-game engine, what you're looking at right now. What you will see, it will be cut from here, from the video FMV, into a in-game engine. You will see.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
Yeah. I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but there's only the one road. You can't miss it.
Thanks.
But...
Yes?
I think you'd better stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it. It's kind of hard to explain, but...
Is it dangerous?
Maybe. And it's not just the fog, either.
Okay, I got it. I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
No, I believe you. It's just... I guess I really don't care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going to town either way.
But why?
I'm looking for someone.
Who is it?
Someone very important to me. I'd do anything if I could be with her again.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her. I thought my father and brother were here, but I can't find them either. I'm sorry. It's not your problem.
I hope you find them.
Yeah, you too.
So as you can see, you know, the game had like a different animation to it, different graphics to it. The graphics were pretty good for back then. You did notice a little bit of a hair works, the animation on the faces, the movement of the characters. Everything was more advanced for 2001 when this game was released for PlayStation 2. Now, did this game use full potential of PlayStation 2? No, they used probably like maybe 30%, 40% of the PlayStation 2 system. Metal Gear Solid 2 was truly creme de la creme that shows what PlayStation 2 can do. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. But this was pretty good for a sequel, you know. Coming in from... You have to remember, I played original game in 1999. Okay, it was when I first heard about Silent Hill. Played it back in 1999. So coming from a PlayStation 1 console into a new PlayStation 2 console with much better enhanced graphics and a new storyline, and also the new sound mix that was using a Dolby, I think Dolby Digital or Dolby Pro Logic. I think there was a Dolby Pro Logic with the Sound S-Force. Is it S-Force? It was called the S-Force? I'm not sure. Sound Force, something like that. I could be wrong on this. You guys might have to double check me on this. But I know there was this filter that was implemented into a Sony PlayStation that enhanced almost like a much better 3D sound with Dolby Pro Logic, called the Sound S-Force or F-Force. I'm not sure. Either S-Force or F-Force. You guys will have to double check on this. Or Sound Forge. I don't know, man. You guys have to remember, this was like 20 years ago. All right, it was a long time ago, and I can't remember exactly everything the way it was called, but you guys can Google it and you will see what I'm talking about. Now, what I basically did here last night, I used my emulator. I boot up the game and I turned off my DirectX filters, all the other filters, I turned it off. I select everything in its original state, original native resolution, everything original. So what you're seeing here, it's exactly what the PlayStation 2 gave us back then in 2001. So, but it looks better. Like I said, it looks better when you play this with a PlayStation 2 console. I need to buy a PlayStation 2 console with the S-Video cable and buy myself one of those old S-Video input televisions and plug it in that way. And I think that's the best way for you to experience this deja vu, nostalgic way of playing these games. You know, even if you use the HDR, I mean, even not the HDR, even if you use that's the lightning, by the way, thunder. Even if you use HDMI and upscale this to 4K, it's still not gonna look that good. It's gonna look very squishy, smushy, and I don't like upscaling these old games. I like to play these games the way they are in their original state. I prefer using a S-Video, Super Video cable, instead of a composite cable, because the S-Video cable gives me a better, cleaner, less noisy picture quality. That's what the S-Video really was. It isolated that noise. It didn't like enhance the resolution and anything. What it basically did, it isolated the noise that was coming from the original composite red, white, and yellow cable that you plug into it. And you all know the nightmares we had with the composite cables. They would break and they would lose a signal. There would be a lot of noise coming from it, especially if somebody's vacuuming. Let's say your wife is vacuuming or your girlfriend's vacuuming. You would have those lines, the little noise lines would show up on the screen. So the S-Video cable, the one I had was a Monster S-Video cable, would be able to isolate that noise and give you much better picture quality. So the idea is for you to enjoy these games in its original state. What I'm going to try to do, I'm going to order a PlayStation 2 and Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some live stream with the original console, the original resolution. Everything will be original, so you guys are gonna really see the game for what it was back then. I'm planning on doing that soon. That will be done. I want to do that for you guys. Now, one interesting thing about this game was the ambient sound. Just listen to the sound.
It's not human.
So you see, even on this sequel, you appreciate that new sound effects that they put into this game.
This thing broken? What the? I'd better take it anyway. I might need it.
Now, back in the day, me connecting this via my S-Video cable with the Monster Audio red and white going into my Dolby Pro Logic Yamaha receiver that I had with three speakers, left, right, center, and a subwoofer. This is pretty big deal for me back then. It really, the sound in this game made this game even more scarier. I remember playing this for Halloween in October, and then I did it like around 11 o'clock, between 11 to 3 in the morning, and I gotta tell you, it was definitely a really good experience, because, you know, playing this at night with a sound, with a really good receiver. I had a Yamaha back then with a Dolby Pro Logic receiver, and then playing this at night, I remember I had my 32-inch RCA Radio Shack television. Okay, Radio Shack. Shout out to Radio Shack. Do any of you even remember Radio Shack? Yeah, well, there you go. That's what I was using back then, Radio Shack. It also shows you how old I am. I mean, I am old, so. And that's the main reason I'm doing these videos, these nostalgic gaming videos, because I want to show you how I felt playing these games. And for you right now, for those of you who are born in this generation, I understand. You're probably laughing your asses off, like, oh, look at this, man, he's talking about this game. This game looks like crap. Look at the graphics, look at all this crap. Well, of course you're gonna say that because you're young, you're ignorant, your hormone levels are through the roof, and all you're used to is playing a Fortnite online. So of course you're gonna say that, screw my generation, your generation's better, whatever. I get that, I understand that, I get it. But for me, ask anybody from my generation who's my age, they will tell you this is a pretty big deal back then. And graphics and animation with these smoke effects and everything, the sound ambient was a much better upgrade than the original. Okay, on this sequel we saw characters come to a much better detail level. Like the characters, even when they're talking, you can see a little bit of that hair works, the animation on the eyes, the expression on the face. So there was a much better experience. Not to mention that this was a sequel, so I was so stoked to find out what's going to happen on the sequel. Are we going to find more answers? Because there were so many questions in the first one that weren't being answered. So I was so stoked to hear about the sequel, you know. Now, is this game still scary? Well, yeah. If you play it at night and you turn off your lights around midnight, you're in some house somewhere in a forest, you turn off the lights and you play it on your screen, on your 75-inch, 65-inch screen, and you turn on your surround sound, I guarantee you there will be moments in this game where you're gonna be, whoa, it's gonna creep you up a little bit. You're definitely gonna be creeping out on this game in some levels. This is like a beginning of the game. Obviously, when you go to the third act and fourth act in the game, and by the very end, then it becomes even more scarier. But it's not just about the ambient. You know, sure, the ambient of Silent Hill was always the one thing. The sound, the unexpected, you don't know what's coming around the corner. There's so much creepiness of the atmosphere in the game. But one thing that was also very unique and intriguing was the storyline. Meeting all these new characters, learning about the Silent Hill town and the history of Silent Hill. So there's so many things in this game that were really intriguing, especially in a sequel, because we wanted to learn more about Silent Hill, more about these characters and what happened to this town, the history of the town. So possessed entities and this different realm. I don't mean to spoil the game, but if you never played it, but there was so much unanswered questions that it made you even more intrigued to play this game. Now, some people try to compare this to Resident Evil. Now, sure, it does have some elements from Resident Evil. It was, of course, a little bit inspired by the Resident Evil formula, but it's totally different. You know, this is more like an adventure horror game. It's not like an action horror game. It's an adventure horror game. To me, Resident Evil is more of like an action horror adventure. This is strictly adventure horror game, mystery. Like we're trying to figure out what's going on. But it does have some elements of every horror game has some elements of Resident Evil there, you know, one way or the other. But this one, it didn't rob Resident Evil at all. It did take a little bit of that formula, but they implemented their own signature, their own style, and their own signature was the ambient atmosphere, the sound. You know, you don't know what's coming around that corner with that fog, but you're listening to this sound, this creepy sound. Especially at night, it creeps you out. So this is where Silent Hill formula worked. Like I said, I am planning on purchasing a PlayStation 2 and playing some of these old games. I think one of the cool and unique features about having a PlayStation 2 system is the fact that PlayStation 2 system, it's also PlayStation 1 backward compatible. So on the PlayStation 2, you can play all of your PlayStation 2 games and all of your PlayStation 1 games. And that's a one beefy, hefty library of games that you can play. Just when you combine PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games, that's a whole lot of games to play, you know. And when I'm gonna do this, I don't know. First, I have to order the console. I have to collect these games. I have to go on eBay. I have to get them. Once I get my console, once I collect all these games, once I get Dreamcast, once I get Nintendo 64, once I get PlayStation 2, then I'm gonna go ahead and do some of these live streams. And I think you guys are gonna enjoy these live streams being played not by some emulator like here, but being played directly on a disc on the original console with a memory card. It's gonna be pretty cool. People ask me, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna convert it? Well, there's ways of doing that. There's a splitter. You can buy an adapter that actually bypasses the HDMI output into the composite, and from the composite output, you can get that data into a Elgato. All right, they have an adapter splitter that you have to actually purchase separately, so it will take some time for me to do this. So I don't know when I'm gonna do this, but it will be done. It's coming soon. Okay, and I'll explain to you, if you guys want to live stream these old games, how you can do it through this adapter that goes through the Elgato. There's a company that actually does that. You have a little splitter. I think Elgato has their own. It's a little bypass adapter splitter that transfers the HDMI input into a composite source. All right, so it's basically an HDMI that goes in and then out it's the splitter composite in from your console, and then that input from composite gets transferred into a high definition media interface, HDMI, and then it's being presented onto a screen. Alright, but it's going to be all a native source. When I do these live streams, when it happens, everything's going to be a native source. Even the live stream is going to be in that native source. I'm going to try to do it exactly the way it was meant to be, in the native source, you know. And I think that will be a pretty cool thing for you guys to see, to experience exactly the way these games were back then, and the way they were being designed, and you know, that's the whole idea of nostalgic gaming, you know, to bring that nostalgia to you, you know. As I said previously, earlier, I'm not a huge fan of upscaling these games, because they're not gonna look, first of all, they're gonna look god awful being upscaled from their original native source. Okay, that's the one thing I always keep telling people. There's some games you just gotta leave them. These original games, you have to leave them the way they are. Don't upscale them, just leave them the way they are. And that's what I'm gonna try to do on my live streams. Now let's listen to this this scene right here.
Damn it.
Now look at the shadow and dynamic light. Look at that dynamic light. This was a pretty advanced technology for the PlayStation 2 to have this dynamic light and the shadow. Remember, we did not experience this in 99, 98 with PlayStation, or even Nintendo 64. So for you to jump in, for me to jump in from 1999 into a new console that has these accolades that the motion chip brought with PlayStation 2, with dynamic light, dynamic shadows, a much better rendering in 3D and textures. All of this stuff was a much welcomed experience. And hands down, 2001 was the year of PlayStation 2. No one could touch 2001. Even Xbox in late November was only able to do it with the Halo Combat Evolved, but that's about it. People were still obviously heavily playing PlayStation 2. November of holiday 2001 and summer 2001, everybody was buying PlayStation 2. 2001, anybody who knows what I'm talking about, 2001 was the year of PlayStation 2. Let's look at the games that came out in 2001. We had a bundle, which I bought actually. My PlayStation 2 was bought with the Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, outstanding racing game. Ace Combat 4, Zone of the Enders, Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and of course Grand Theft Auto 3. The first debut of Grand Theft Auto 3 in a 3D third-person open world. So it was a pretty big deal for Sony. 2001, PlayStation 2 dominated the entire year. Okay, that's a fact. You know, you guys don't have to agree with me. I'm not a fanboy. I'm just letting you know 2001 was the year of PlayStation 2, and no one could touch Sony in 2001. There was just nothing out there that could come even close to what Sony did in that year alone. They owned that year, pretty much. And anybody who is my generation knows exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, there's so many added elements here. Look at these flies. Look at the dynamic light. You know, this was a brand new experience back then. coming from a PlayStation 1 console and then to a PlayStation 2 console. But there's so much creepiness, like right now on this level, going through these very narrow, tight, claustrophobic hallways, and you play this at night with your Dolby Pro Logic system that you have. I had Yamaha back then with left, right, center, and a subwoofer, and then you play this game. It was just I can't tell you how creepy it was, because I've never experienced anything like this in a video game, and I was like, man, this is some whole new level of creepiness that they're putting into the game. You know, it was revolutionary. You know, I know, like I said earlier, for you new generation, you're gonna look at this video and say, oh, what's so revolutionary? Well, this was 20 years ago. This is before you were born. I assume if you're a teenager, this is before you were born. Okay, so this was, for me, somebody who's coming from the 80s, playing all these other games from the 80s, Genesis and SNES and Commodore 64, Spectrum ZX, Amiga 500, stepping into this kind of like gaming in 2001 was pretty substantial. All right, and that's what I'm really trying to do with these nostalgic gaming videos, is I'm trying to bring this nostalgia to you. And this is just the beginning. Like I told you, I'm gonna collect all of these consoles. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 3, Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, hell, even a GameCube. I'm gonna bring all these consoles and I'm gonna live stream all of these games, collect all of these games, and I'm gonna play them in their original native source, the way you should experience the game. It's in its original native source. And I'm going to say it here for the last time. I don't approve of anybody upscaling these old games. And I'm sure, shout out to Dirty Sprite, and I'm sure Dirty Sprite will agree with me that upscaling these old games is just not going to look that good. It's not going to look good, period. It's going to look very laggy. The response time is not going to be that good. Input lag is going to be horrible. And the experience is going to be very crappy. The idea is for you to enjoy these games in its original native source resolution. And that's how I think I will intend it for you guys when I do these live streams. When I do these live streams, once I get my consoles, and once I collect all of these games, we're going to do it exactly in its native resolution, 480p, whatever it is that it was emitting back then. And we're going to enjoy it in its exact. It'll be like me taking you back in time and showing you exactly, hey, this is what I was experiencing back then. That's what it's going to be. Emulators are a bit tricky. You got to remember, you're still emulating from a PC. Okay, you're not using a hardware. You're emulating from a PC. And just look how creepy that was. I remember seeing this. And my first introduction to this character was like super creepy, man. You don't understand how creepy this was. Like, first time you encountering this character and him doing all of this to these bodies, putting them together, and creepy as hell. And then you hiding, and then he's coming slowly, approaching you, smelling you, knowing that you are there. It was like creepy as hell. Super creepy. And even more creepy is the thunder lightning that it's as you guys know, I live in Florida, so this is like the rainy season. Thunder, lightning, thunder, thunder. More people die of lightning in Florida than of the car accident. That's a fact, actually, because the lightning here just hits multiple times directly onto the ground, man. And the way you get electrocuted, it's not like a direct hit, but let's say the lightning hit 10 feet away from you and hits the pavement. You're still going to get that aftershock. You're going to get that shock, that electricity that flows through the cement, and you're going to get electrocuted. So, yeah, the lightning, thunder, lightning in Florida, it's deadly. It's very deadly. There's a lot of shit in Florida, man. You go to the ocean, you got to worry about the sharks. You go to the lake, you got to worry about the both crocodiles and alligators. We have American crocodiles in the Everglades and alligators. You got to worry about the Florida panthers. You got to worry about snakes, all right, pythons, all this other shit. So yeah, that's Florida for you. There's always something waiting to eat you. Just listen to the sound. And just look how creepy this was. Especially if you are listening it on like a sound, a left, the right, and center, and subwoofer, Sound Pro Logic, Dolby Pro Logic, Yamaha receiver that I had back then, connected VMI, Monster left and right audio that I had implemented from the S-Video cable. Remember, for those of you who don't know what the S-Video cable is, S-Video Super Video didn't enhance the resolution. What it actually did, it gave you a cleaner picture. It's the same resolution. Everything's the same. The only difference was you were getting less of that noise. There was barely any of that noise, and everything became much clearer. When you use the original cable, that yellow, red, and white, that composite cable, sometimes it would lose a signal. And if somebody, let's say your wife was vacuuming or your girlfriend was vacuuming, you can see that noise affecting the cable. With the S-Video, that noise was isolated and you were getting a much better signal data onto your screen. Look it up, Google the S-Video cable, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't know what the S-Video cable was back then. But just keep in mind, S-Video didn't enhance the resolution. All it did, it isolated the noise and gave you a much cleaner picture quality. Cleaner picture quality. And it looked good on the PlayStation 2. Because remember, 720p 1080i interlace didn't come till like 2006, right? 2006 with the Xbox 360, and then PlayStation 3 is when we finally started to notice the HD high definition. So that's when the high definition took over. It was in 2008, I would say, or 2007. It's when officially, actually 2007. It's when officially the high definition kind of took over. We saw more and more 720p, 1080i interlace. 1080p was still far away. Later on, 1080p came in with the Blu-ray and whatnot. But 1080i and 720p with the widescreen. Remember, the big deal was the widescreen, getting that 16:9 ratio. So PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 gave us that 16:9 widescreen gaming ratio. So the widescreen gaming with 720p or 1080i interlace was a pretty big step in evolution of gaming. So I lived through all this, that's why I'm doing these nostalgic gaming, because I lived through all these consoles. I lived through Commodore, Spectrum, Atari, Genesis, Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, original Xbox, Xbox 360, Okay, I lived through all of this evolution of gaming throughout these years, and this is the main reason why I'm doing these nostalgic gaming episodes, and this is the reason why I'm gonna purchase all of these consoles, and then I'm gonna show you and do a live stream and show you exactly the way it was back then, playing these games in its original native resolution. And I think you guys are gonna love those live streams, because I don't see that many people doing it, and I think I want to do it. I think you guys deserve it. You guys have been a loyal fans of mine, so I want to give you guys something back. I want to give you this experience of these old games so you can interact with me, live stream with me, talk to me, hang out with me, and we can relive the experience of these original classic games, you know. So I don't know if there's anything else I can say on this episode about Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 was a big success, obviously. But then again, every other game that came out that year was successful. You look at Ace Combat 4, you look at Silent Hill 2, Grand Theft Auto 3, debuting on PlayStation 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, Gran Turismo 3, A-Spec. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It was a big year for PlayStation 2 back then in 2001. Now, you watching me do this through a video, it's a whole nother thing. But you playing this on the original console, on your TV, and then plugging in your surround sound, playing this at night, then you truly appreciate just like how good and how creepy this game was back then. You know, there's an old saying, if you want to try something, you have to experience it. And I always keep telling people, sometimes you can't put stuff into words until you actually experience it yourself. Sometimes you have to experience these things yourself in order to understand exactly why these games were such a big deal back then. You know, and for you new generation, I hope that you guys appreciate also as well the evolution of gaming. This is where the evolution of gaming came in. So
it wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Do what?
I didn't do anything. I swear. He was like this when I got here.
My name's James. James Sunderland.
Eddie.
Eddie. Who's that dead guy in the kitchen?
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't kill anybody.
You're not friends with that red pyramid thing, are you?
Red pyramid thing? I don't know what you're talking about. Honest. But I did see some weird-looking monsters. They scared the hell out of me, so I ran in here.
Well, I guess this place isn't too safe either. What happened here anyway?
I told you, I don't know. I'm not even from this town. I just...
anyway, as you can see,
You too, huh?
there's a bunch of different characters you encounter in this game, and you learn more as you progress throughout the game. And that was the whole point of the sequel, was for us to learn more about Silent Hill, the history of the Silent Hill, and get ourselves introduced to all these new characters in the game. So this was the time when Konami was really a pretty big deal. You know, when you see a Konami logo, then you know that you got a really good game. And this is when Konami was at its best, on its finest as a company. But now you look at Konami and it's like, it's a disgrace, you know. And it's really shameful to see such a big company like Konami that gave us all these great games, and then what they have become now. It's just sad. Well, anyway, it's been 40 minutes. I think I said all there is to say about Silent Hill 2 for 40 minutes. Like I said, if you haven't played Silent Hill 1 or Silent Hill 2, I highly recommend that you do. But you should play it on the original console. You should purchase the original console and play it that way. There's just something about that experience, you know, playing it on the original console. You know, and I can't put into words how that feels unless you actually go back, go to eBay, purchase these original consoles, buy these games, and then try them out for yourself, and you will see exactly what I was talking about. Alright? Other than that, thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I love doing these things. I love doing nostalgia gaming, besides me doing televisions as well. Now, as I said, my main thing on my channel is the televisions, but I do like doing nostalgia gaming. I do like doing live streams with you guys. And then, as I said earlier in the video, I will be doing live streams pretty soon with these new consoles. Not the new consoles, but these old consoles, refurbished PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64, all of these, GameCube, all of these old consoles, refurbished consoles that I will collect. Once I collect all of these consoles, once I collect all of these games, then we're gonna do this live stream, and I think you guys are gonna enjoy and love the live stream of all of these old games in its native resolution, in its native source, in its native engine. And it's going to be a much better experience, you guys hanging out with me, talking about it, having a good time, enjoying your weekend, escaping your everyday, daily stress, bullshit life that you have to deal with. Kick back, relax, hang out here with me. So this is coming, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this. You guys are going to love this. So there you go. Again, I appreciate you guys for all the support, and I appreciate you guys, you know, subscribing to me and reaching 24,000 subscribers and doing all of this. I know you guys do come to watch my videos, so I want you to know that I always appreciate, you know. Again, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be wasting my time doing this if it wasn't for you guys. I do this for you. I don't do this for me because I already know the experience. I know what it was like for me to play these games and everything. I do this for you because I wanted to bring something fresh and new. When I started my YouTube channel, I never wanted to be like those stereotype other YouTubers out there. I wanted to do something different. And I never wanted to pressure anybody to subscribe to me. I never wanted to pressure anybody to follow me here, follow me there, donate here, donate there. I feel it's a free will. And if you like something, you will like it. And if you don't, then you don't. That's how I feel about my channel in the beginning when I started it. And I've been doing this for 2 years. And I think it works because I do have a lot of you guys who are constantly commenting and joining my videos. And so, like I said, there's a lot of cool things going to be happening in the future, especially a month from now. So we're going to have a lot of fun revisiting these games on a live stream. Mainly these retro live streams will be done on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Because Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when majority of you are free, are not working. Not all, but pretty good number. It's off, it's not working, so you guys can chill out, relax over the weekend, kick back, blow off some steam, hang out with me, come to here to my live stream, and we'll have a good time. We'll enjoy ourselves, okay? So it's been 45 minutes. Thank you guys. I really appreciate this. I really do mean I appreciate you guys for everything that you do. Okay, so I want you to know that. All right, have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you pretty soon. I will see you guys. I'm not going to tell you what my next video is. I would just, if you guys don't know, and then I surprise you. I like to surprise people. Anyway, there you go. There you have it. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are. All right, Colonel, we have to end this. I'm getting too old to be doing this commentary. Naomi, what did you put in my system? I'm not feeling so good right now. What's going on over here? I'm in a different dimension right now. Colonel, did you put me up to this? Otacon, did you put me up to this? All right, guys, take care. This is Snake, signing off.